Now let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Play ball!
Dembele has scored 21 goals in 2025. He scored the only goal in the first half to beat Liverpool 1-0 at Anfield. He took that game moved to the extra time. They played extra time. After 30 minutes, no goals, and he went to penalty where PSG won that penalty 4-1. Now Liverpool are out of the Champions League after topping the league table of the new format. Okay, if you look at that game in general, I think personally, it's the personal opinion that the 180 minutes plus the extra time, PSG deserves to go to the quarterfinal of this competition, but it's football. Liverpool won that game in France, like with a bit of luck. PSG played better, but Anfield, it was basically a 50-50 game. But even though that PSG created more chances, but at the end of the day, PSG deserves to go to the next round.
Yeah, I believe PSG deserve to go to the next round. Although, albeit in this encounter, Liverpool started quite well. And Slot prior to the game made a statement that we are going to see the best performance of Liverpool so far this season on the night. And he expected Liverpool to put up a very good outshowing of themselves, in front of the home fans. And in the first 20 minutes, it looked as if Liverpool were the better team, playing well, passing out from the back, moving the ball forward. The only thing that they couldn't get on the night was the goals, because Salah played 90 minutes, even played into the extra time and beyond. And a lot of key players also had a good performance, but on the night, after the first 40, let me say before we got into the half-hour mark, these guys got their goal, and then from then onward, it was tough for Liverpool to fight themselves back into the game to get a goal to at least edge them forward. And then when we went into the closing stages of the game, we saw Liverpool lose more ground in that midfield. PSG were creating more opportunities. They were dominating more of the ball. Liverpool were hanging on for extra time. Came into extra time. PSG were still far better than them. Liverpool were hanging on for penalties, hoping that one way or another, their luck was going to take them through this one. But unfortunately, perfect save from Donnarumma took them out.
What do you think make of this game? Liverpool crashing out of this Champions League in round of 16. Do you think it's because Liverpool did not play better, or just PSG was just better on the night?
I wouldn't say they didn't play better. In the first leg, they didn't play better. PSG played better, and
everybody saw it,
and Liverpool got the win. And I went back to, and I said it on the show. I think if you look at the podcast, I said, when has Liverpool played a better football this season? You play first 20, 30 minutes, you get the goals. You play conservative football, according to what we call it, conservative football, where you play back passes all through the game, sideways passes. You don't attempt another chance on getting another goal. You just play safe, hold on to the ball mostly, play safe until the end of the game, or perhaps when you lose the ball, you're running back to defend and allow the opposition hold on to the ball in their own half, and that's playing compact and playing in the middle, as in where you say a high block instead of a low block. You're playing a high block, and that's what Liverpool has done all season. But against the PSG side, they had to reduce it into a low block, because it wasn't working in the high block. You had players with pace who could break that offside trap and get the goals. So they had to play with a low block and still play compact. And in the first leg, physically they were not there until they made the sub, and Darwin Núñez came in and physically bullied McQuinness and the other guy and got the goal. Good for him in the first leg, but in the second leg, that wasn't happening. He wasn't coming forth. There was no bullying allowed. Okay, so in that game, you felt like Liverpool were shot on the foot. They came in the game with the first 20 minutes, let's get the goal. And let's see, but it didn't happen, and I think they let their head down.
Okay, the man informed Dembele scored the only goal in that game with 2025, 21 goals, highest goal scorer in 2025. I think January he was scoring back-to-back hat tricks.
Yeah,
he was scoring.
I think he scored 2 hat tricks.
That guy was
just 2 hat trick and 4 brace in just 1 month, and you ask yourself, what's wrong?
What did he drink? He drank something that first night. And December 31st, he drank something.
All thanks to this man knowing what the team plays like. He wants to play a fleet formation. He doesn't want somebody who say, okay, this is this point man up front, because we always complain about that in the show here, where John is saying you have a Colomani, you have a Goncalo Ramos, you have this person, but you're not starting them and you're not scoring goals. Now Colomani is on loan at Juventus. He's scoring goals at Juventus. So now at Colomani is on loan now at Juventus, and he's giving Vlahovic a run for his money competitively. There's a Goncalo Ramos on the bench that's not still starting, and he's playing a fleet formation, all thanks to the introduction of Vicha coming in from Napoli. So you see, you have a Desire on the bench who the guy they call Desire Do on the bench. You have a Goncalo Ramos on the bench. These players can come in and switch the game at any time. But you have a front three that could play fluid. So you're not saying this person is playing from the right, so let's mark him and let's outplay him. You have players that are switching positions, and you don't have defenders to track their runs.
I think Dembele has been doing well since 2025, but Enrique is a man that he promised that he's going to still play his football when he goes to Anfield, and he kept his word. I think we should give him kudos the way he has built this PSG side. When he came in, Mbappe will leave, everybody has left because they tried to build a Galactico in quote to win the Champions League. They couldn't do it. They started buying young players, promising young players, apart from they bought in Dembele, who is probably an established star. But other players they bought, it's not relatively unknown that he brought into that squad. I think he has been a good squad, and PSG should be a team everybody should fear in the Champions League.
I wouldn't say just yet. Like, it's still a building process. It's still a few pieces that need to come in to improve the team. Of course, no two ways you want to look at it. For all the talk about bringing in youth, Vicha was brought in. Vicha is not a youth. Vicha is a star player. Of course, so it's a more mix of a few star players and more young players with prospects. We still have a couple of players in that setup that need to level up. You understand me? So for me, I feel like the team is not 100 yet. Okay, there is still a few people you can bring in to improve
for
the
that
team.
Midfield, you don't fit touch any for that midfield.
It's not about. I said the team. The team is more than the midfield.
98.
The team is more than the midfield, more than the attack, and more than any other component.
Who else do you want to introduce in
That's what I'm saying. That there are a couple of players that can be introduced into the team.
I'm only looking at the bench. You get when you say you want to make a sub, and okay, fine, you don't have players to replace. But in the last game and in this game, you saw when Desire came in. You saw what he did from the flanks. You saw what he did up front. Having Ramos on the bench is another. So
how many players are on that bench that can walk into the starting lineup and put in a performance? How many of them?
I called 2 right now for you.
2 out of a team of 22 players.
I can still go on and
no.
I can still go on and
you are not
more.
getting the point. The point is not.
It's your point. You can keep it in your pocket.
The point is not getting a team that is average. The point is improving the team that can compete for the Champions League.
Which means
and simple.
You just have to go back to the market.
Having just the starting 11 alone is not a team, because these players, if anybody goes out on injury, they need to be replaced. That's what I'm saying. The bench you are talking about is not good enough. The bench you are talking about is not good enough.
And the bench of the people that put up the fight in the second half, if you look at the last 30 minutes of the game, the extra time, it was the bench that was putting up the fight. It was the bench that was fighting for the win. It was the bench that was pushing together. It was when the game changed, it was the bench that changed the game.
How many of those players from the bench changed the game?
It was the bench that changed the game.
I disagree with you, man.
You keep talking about the coaches sub in-game tactics and your plan from training. What if your plan from training is failing? You need to look after your bench.
I think generally everything should buy more players to improve their squad. Look at Real Madrid. Apart from Arsenal, any team, if you have an opportunity to bring in more players,
if you don't have quality,
has the money.
If you don't have quality on the bench, then you need to look for quality to put on the bench. Let's look at Man City, for instance, when there was no quality on the bench to replace Haaland, when they sold Alvarez. You see the performance, you look at the bench, you say, oh, there's no quality on the bench to come into this game. Now you need to go to the market and get players. For PSG, there's quality on the bench.
Goncalo Ramos is quality on the bench, man. You must be deranged if you think there is quality on the bench.
Considering how much they paid for the guy, I think about 80 million.
It's not about how much you pay for the player. At the end of the day, it's not about how much you pay for the player, because at the end of the day, performance is what we are going to look at. Productivity is what we are going to look at the end of the day, man.
I think he was injured at some point last season. He has not really picked up, really played very well for PSG, but if you look at how much PSG paid for him, that means he has potential.
He went on injury and came back.
The potential have not really yet fulfilled, but hopefully he's going to fill up, because signing a player in that amount of money, he should be performing. Now let's talk about Slot. Slot has been the Liverpool side that relatively have done well this season, truthfully, because everybody didn't expect them to be probably win the league. Nobody expected to win the league. He has always is on the verge to win the league, but in this Champions League, where did he get it wrong as a coach, or is it because he lacks the experience in the Champions League to actually advance?
I wouldn't say he's lacking experience generally. I would say it's the way you start something is the way you finish it. The first faltering Liverpool faltered was taking off the key players and playing young guys in the last game of the league format. That last game they lost, that was one of the first mistakes. Secondly, going into the first leg, being suffice enough to just score a lucky goal and pack up shop and come back home. And then secondly, coming back to Anfield and thinking that conserving, defending is going to win them this game because they could settle for a draw. I will always set up my team to go out to get the win. Even though we have a 1-goal win in the previous leg, I'm not coming to Anfield to come and defend. I'm not coming to Anfield. Go and look at that game. Liverpool are just 3 shots on target. You have the Nunes, you have the Salah, you have the Jota. You can go and look at every other player in that team, and you have all this firepower. Where were they on the night? Where were they on the night? Clearly, there is a rebuild that should happen in the front line for Liverpool, because I was not impressed with that encounter.
He needs to do something.
In the first leg, they had only 1 shot on target.
And they scored a goal.
You get, in the first leg, why these people had, I think, 17, and Alisson made 9 saves, and it was like prime Buffon. You get, now in this game, Liverpool created the chances, and if you look at the first leg and the second leg, both matches combined, you see that PSG has been were physical, more physical on the game on the night than Liverpool were. Liverpool were trying to conserve with the ball. Any soft touch, they go to the ground. You could look at Liverpool and PSG side; they were very physical on the ball, which means no nonsense from the fullbacks. Hakim Ziyech and what's it called, Nuno Mendes. They were very, very active on the fullback positions. The defensive line was tough on anybody coming in. You get the error they made in the last game, where they were soft on the striker because they felt like he was going to be like Jota, who is going to run into a brick wall. Didn't happen in this one. You get, so area duels they were winning. To tell you the level of the mentality they came with in that game, they were winning the area duels, they were winning ground duels, they were winning their tackles. So they were positioned to make interceptions, positioned to make tackles, positioned to block. So I keep saying it, if you play, it's not about playing a low block. We say pack the box. If you play compact football, you can play high line and become compact. Your position will not have anything against you.
Okay, that game moved to extra time, then penalties, and Liverpool missed 2. Nunes and Jones missed their own penalty, and PSG scored 4 of their penalties to win that penalty shootout 4 goals to 1. Now PSG is in the quarterfinal of the Champions League. Let's see how far they are going to go. They have been looking to win this title since the takeover happened in that club. They have been buying players: Messi, Neymar, Mbappe, Abramovich, Cavani, all names you can think of. They bought all of them, but they have not actually won this particular trophy they are looking out for. Now they have an opportunity to Enrique to build a team to win. Let's see if it's going to be possible for them to win this league. As for Liverpool, they go back to the Premier League to try and tie up that Premier League, and they are 15 points ahead of Arsenal, so obviously probably they're going to be winning it. But for this Champions League, they are out. For next season, they're going to regroup and try again to win the Champions League.